So when I see a hoof, I see there's usually a fairly thin bone above that hoof. Is that like my arm right here?
Basically what it means is these animals are walking on the bones found in the very distal part of what would be our fingers. So here, for example, on the human skeleton, you can see these bones here are known as the phalanges. And you only have, in hoofed animals, you're only walking on the middle ones because there's one of those involved in the hoof.
The other thing we're cooking today is osso buco. And I'm told that that's the forearm of the front quarter or the front limb.
Well, when you graduated from medical school, Rick, you know that there were two bones there, and here on the human skeleton you can see them very nicely. This bone here is known as the radius. This bone here is known as the ulna. These two bones cooperate with one another and help the function, very human function, known as supination and pronation. Now, that is very convenient for us because we can open jars and turn in light bulbs with that. But for a calf, that's not necessarily a high priority. So in that particular case, the radius and the ulna, which do form the elbow joint, become fused by the time they reach the mid-forearm.
Welcome back. We're back in the kitchen with our special guest, Dr. Vaughan Bowen. And Dr. Bowen, you've been in Italy a bit in Milan. Have you ever been to Modena?
Never been to Modena, no.
What do you know about Modena?
Balsamic vinegar.
Right, balsamic vinegar, which is how we're going to finish this beautiful Modenese dish. And what we're going to be making is something called Zampone, which is a stuffed pig's trotter. This is a traditional Modenese dish that they make at Christmas time, and we're going to serve it with some lentils, which are also served at Christmas because they look like little coins, and it's hopeful that it'd be a prosperous year if you serve them. But before we get to that, let's deal with one of your specialties. We have here a pig's trotter.
Pig's trotter.
What can you tell us about this pig's trotter?
They tell me they're like hands, but they are and they aren't.
Well, why don't we start with what they are like hands and what they have in common with hands, and then we can move on to what they don't have in common.
Well, they've got a number of digits here, and the muscles, and there'll presumably be tendons coming from the muscles down to the digits down here to power them.
Okay.
And then there's the bones here of the end of the forearm, really.
So, Doctor, what we need to do, though, is with respect to this pig's foot, is we need to get into it because we want to stuff that beautiful pocket here with some farce or some sausage meat we're going to make. So
it's going to be real tasty.
It is. It's going to be a fantastic dish, but I need you to do some surgery for me.
Okay.
And we need to debone this pig's foot.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
Instrument's a little bigger than the ones we normally use.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
I'm taking the skin off the underlying tissues, which is mostly going to be bone and tendons here.
Okay.
And as we do this, the skin comes away. We'll see the tendons in a minute. It's a little more coarse than the surgery we do in the operating room, but it's basically a similar process. The one operation we do that is like this is preparation for replantation, when people have cut hands and fingers off.
By replantation, you mean actually reattaching?
Reattachment, yes.
What sort of success do you have with reattaching hands?
Unfortunately, we don't have to do too many hand reattachments. When we do them, success is reasonably good. We can usually get them to stay alive and stay in place, providing they're not too badly damaged.
Right.
How well we get them to work is another issue, and that's part of the trick of the rehabilitation. So next to the bone in here, between these muscles and the bone, there's usually a tunnel that the tendons go through. Okay. And this is no different from the human, except the size and the dimensions are a little different. Okay. So I like to find that tunnel and then split between the tunnel and the bone. We do it a little more delicately in one of our patients, but this is essentially what you might do if you wanted to get into this layer.
Wow. Now, in terms of the tendons that are running in here, what's their function?
They bend and straighten the digits. So in a hand, they'd be responsible for bending them, these particular ones. Okay. And then these tendons that are on the back are the ones that would be responsible for straightening the hand out.
Unfortunately, as soon as we get this cut and stuffed, I'm going to have you to do a little bit of reconstruction. We're going to suture this back up.
That's what I feared. I was going to have to put this back together after we
No,
were done.
this is the exam for chefs or for surgeons. Is once you get it out, you got to put it back together.
That's the great difference between being a surgeon and being more of a butcher or chef, is the art of putting it back together. Be careful you don't cut your fingers doing this.
That's true.
Well, you may need my services, and that's hard if you're me. Now, the next stage of the process is to take this big piece of bone out that has very little meat on it.
Right.
And we essentially disarticulate the joints by bending this right back.
Okay. Don't try this with your own arm.
This is more crude than we do with our patients, I'll have you know.
There we go.
And the joints here are just becoming visible
Right.
in the base of this, and I'm going to put this trotter on the ground.
All right.
And push real hard.
There we go.
And they break open, and you can see the joints there.
All right. And so, in the equivalent of a human hand or fist, what would this be?
I think these would be the MP joints right here.
Okay, which we would
The
call
base of the fingers.
our knuckles.
Knuckles, yeah.
All right.
And then I'm just going to cut that off, and it's just about ready for preparation.
Right. Let's just take a quick look at what we've got. We've had the good doctor trim the skin open, taken out the main part of the bone, and left us with this beautiful, beautiful long-running piece of meat. So, are you ready to do a little bit of stuffing?
Let's get on with it.
All right, well, in the fridge here, we've had the benefit of some other surgery, and we've got some beautiful pig's feet, which we've done the same operation on. And if you just give me a minute here, I'll get my stuffing, or farce as we call it.
Why do you call it that?
Well, farce is just a word for anything that you're going to use to stuff. What I have here is I have about a ½ pound of ground pork, about a ½ pound of this pancetta, about a ½ pound of chopped cooked ham, nicely cut, about a ¼ inch cut, and I've got 2 Italian sausages, sweet sausages, with the skins or casings off. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to make our own sausage.
It's going to be great.
And so I'm going to just do a little bit of stuffing, and what you want is we've got the trotter that you've done. We've got a natural pocket in there, okay? And what we want to do is we just want to get this farce deep, deep, deep into it. So you can see we have a nice natural pocket here with this beautiful meat and the sausage, but we got a bit of a problem in that we've got to find some way to keep this from coming out, and I think that's where you're going to be able to be the most help.
Our patients like being put back together too.
Well, we're going to put this back together. What I'm going to get you to do is suture this, and
Okay.
I'm just going to stuff another one of these legs or pork trotters with our farce, and then I'm going to get you, if you can get set up with your...
I brought some surgical instruments with me here
Okay, what
because
have
I
you
thought
brought
we
for
might
us?
do this.
Sure.
I've got a needle holder and a great big surgical needle with some nylon-like material that we call proline.
Okay.
And a tissue forceps, a little smaller than these chef instruments.
Yes.
And there's a scissors, of course, for cutting the suture.
Okay.
Surgeon always has to do something. It's usually carving, but I've never been asked to suture before.
All right. And certainly not a pig's foot.
Certainly not a pig's foot.
All right. You seem to be going under the skin. What do you call that?
This is called an intracuticular suture, which is more of a cosmetic suture.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing it here mostly because the skin is so thick that it would be very hard to get this needle through the skin, but I can get into the layer under the skin. Okay, Alan, this is the last stitch going in here, and then this guy's all done.
All right.
I'll just cut it off.
Okay. Well, you do beautiful work, I have to say.
And we're all sewn up.
Okay, and we can take a look at this now. You can see cosmetically you've done a beautiful job. What we've done is we've done a few of these, and we've got them boiling, and you want to boil these for about 2 hours. So let's actually end our Christmas special meal from Modena with a traditional vegetable, and that would be lentils. So if I could just get you to take the cutting board away there, Doctor, and
I'll move this over.
okay. And what I've got some lentils that I've soaked overnight, and then I've boiled just in a nice big pot of water for about 35 or 40 minutes until they're got a little bit of texture to them. All we want to do now is we want to take in a nice hot pan, take a little bit of olive oil. We just want a little bit of onion, and then to keep up with the flavor of our Zampone, I'm going to put a little bit of pancetta in here, which is going to give us a beautiful taste with our lentils.
Right.
And so to this, all we're going to do now is we're just going to add our lentils. Well, we've got our beautiful lentils going. We've got our Zampone boiling. That's
Right.
going to take a couple hours. You haven't forgotten about our Osso buco?
I sure haven't. No, I'm looking
That's
forward
great.
to it.
We're going to pull that out of the oven, and we're going to finish our risotto with a little saffron and cheese. And we're going to plate all that up when we come back.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to
It'll
it.
be great. Stay tuned. Dr. Bowen, get to see the beautiful work you did in the surgery. We have our Zampone now out of the boiling water. Got the cheesecloth and the sutures or the trussings out of them, and they turned out just spectacular. Don't you like that?
Beautiful, yeah. I didn't expect them to look that good.
And we've got our risotto just about finished here for our Osso buco, but first let's plate our Zampone. Nice big plate. What you want to do is you want to get your beautiful lentils with that pancetta and onion.
Now we'll see the inside.
Now we get to see how beautiful this is. Nice sharp knife. You could use a serrated knife. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, look
this
at
is
that.
just beautiful. Just
Look how
beautiful.
it
Just have to be
cuts.
patient and look at
Wow.
that. So what I would do for presentation is put our trotter up there. Just arrange these in a nice circle around it. Beautifully.
That looks wonderful.
And now for the crowning glory, some very nicely aged balsamic vinegar
From Modena.
from Modena. Get another plate for our Osso buco. And Vaughan, if you can give me a nice big spoon of that risotto on the plate. Oh, and you can see the saffron in there. Give me another one
Little
just
more?
like that beside it.
Beside it?
Oh yeah. Perfect. And now the moment you've all been waiting for, the beautiful
Wow, look at that.
veal shanks. Oh, the smell of that is spectacular. There we go. And just put that right beside your risotto. And because there's going to be a couple of us here, Vaughan,
Okay.
there's a nice serving, nice big serving for people. Just give the plate a little bit of a wipe here. And there you have it. Beautiful Osso buco. And time for us to do the honors.
And taste it.
There's your scalpel and your fork, and we're going to taste this. Napkin, which would you like to try first?
I'm going to try some of the Osso buco.
All right, why don't you try the Osso buco, and I'll try the
try that.
I'll try the Zampone.
Okay.
Oh, the texture is just spectacular. It's like a really, really nicely cooked sausage in there. Skin and all. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Zampone. Oh,
Absolutely fabulous.
it's like Christmas in Modena. And now to end our show, I want to thank our special guest, Dr. Vaughan Bowen, for all of his help and his reconstruction of our pig's foot and our help with our Osso buco and risotto. Cheers, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, that was wonderful.
Well, let's keep going. Cheers.
Cheers.